Hi, everyone. Welcome to part two of our interview with no less than Dr. Karen Woolbright. She is an internist as well as with a specialty rather of nutrition medicine nutrition medicine, right?
Clinical nutrition.
Clinical nutrition medicine. Mayong gabi, good evening, Doc.
Good evening.
You know,
Hello again.
we had a long talk yesterday. We clocked in at around 1 hour and 7 minutes, and I think Zoom probably complained and tried to destroy our signal. That's why we had to do a part two, right?
My phone was smoking.
So the last question that I actually asked Doc was, how can we protect ourselves in terms of lifestyle change and diet change from this coronavirus COVID-19 and the other future viruses to come? What can you suggest? What can you recommend to our viewers out there?
Actually, I'm very biased because I'm a clinical nutrition physician, but lifestyle based on proper diet and exercise is still the best, right? The problem with this coronavirus is it actually affects people who are weaker. They're older, they have diabetes, they have all these diseases that are there because of lifestyles that did not support health. So the best thing you can do is really to just eat healthy foods and continue exercising. It's very tough to be able to follow that, especially with the quarantine rules where we're limited on what we can buy, how we can exercise. But definitely what our grandparents taught us to just eat and exercise, eat properly, eat your vegetables and exercise is still the best. Now, I want to, you'll probably ask about vitamins, what vitamins we can take
We'll talk about
to
vitamin D.
increase our resistance. Yes, but what about the multivitamins also? Some people will say, take your vitamin C, take a multivitamin because it's a viral infection. Now, vitamin C multivitamins are good, especially if you have a deficiency, but you can't take it in excess doses. If you notice, have you taken vitamin C?
Yeah,
Jiggy?
yeah, absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Have you noticed what color is your pee right after
Yellow.
you take vitamin C?
Usually yellow, yeah.
Exactly. Now, when you eat like oranges or drink orange juice, what color is your pee?
It doesn't reflect anything. I think it's clear, right?
Exactly. So both the tablets with vitamin C and the orange juice or the fresh oranges, they have vitamin C. But the difference is the absorption from the natural orange is efficient and it doesn't get excreted right away. So there's a regulation by the body. However, if you take a tablet that's vitamin C, you excrete it right away. But of course, I'm not saying it's not good. If you have a deficiency and you're sick and you can't take a couple of oranges every day to relieve that deficiency, you must take the tablet. That's a medication when you have a deficiency. But if you're a healthy individual and you can take the orange, it's better to take the natural sources. Okay? So you have to know when and how much to take. So that's vitamin C. Then you have to take natural sources of zinc, of selenium, of magnesium, of potassium. Now, all of this comes from a variety of sources of food, fresh foods. So that's why you have to, we can discuss a lot of these sources. It's going to be a long list, but
zinc, for example, where to get zinc?
So zinc comes from a lot of nuts, some oily foods, some shellfish. You can get it from there. Same as selenium also, and magnesium. So that's why you have to eat a lot of different sources. If you're a vegetarian, you can get it from the nuts. But if you're not a vegetarian, you can get it from the shellfish. For the vitamins A and C, you can get it from a lot of the fruits and yellow vegetables, dark green vegetables, and fruits and vegetables really provide a lot. Although some of the B complex vitamins, you will need to get them from meat sources. But if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, you can get them from tablets or from capsules. Or if you don't want to take capsules, then you don't wash your food before you eat them, and you'll get adequate amount of B vitamins as well.
So if you don't have those food items readily available in the grocery or wherever you live, I think a multivitamin would probably help, right?
Actually, multivitamins have not been proven in studies to really protect you from getting viral diseases. It seems like a virus really infects you based on your, because it's physiological. But what it protects you, having adequate amounts of vitamins and being in a healthy state, is not having a severe form of the infection. Just like we discussed with the vitamin D, we didn't discuss about if you get infected or not, but how severe your COVID-19 disease is. If you get intubated or if you get critical state because of a deficiency of the vitamin D, but never does a vitamin prevent you from contracting the disease because it's infectious. The vitamin does not stop you from acquiring the disease, but being in a completely healthy state will make your body fight the disease, so you will have a very mild form of the disease.
Can you explain to us, Doc, what is the mechanism of exercise that helps you boost your immunity? Why does exercise help in boosting your immunity?
So exercise produces muscles. It maintains your muscle mass. Now, muscle is a functional part of the body, and it's made of protein. And immunity is made of immunoglobulins. Globulins are proteins. Now, the body does not store any protein at all. It stores fat, but fat is not protein. So the moment you need immunoglobulins and you have a very low muscle mass, it also follows that you will be needing a lot of these immunoglobulins, and so you won't be finding them in a very skinny person. So you need muscle mass. And it's only through exercise that you store protein. I'm not telling everyone to be a bodybuilder. I'm not telling you that you need a six-pack. That's not the point. The point is being functional, being able to run up a few flights of stairs without gasping for breath, being able to carry groceries, being able to do a brisk walk without exhausting yourself. Just, little movements that are functional, meaning you're able to survive. Before humans used to climb trees. Now, if you can climb a tree, it's like a superpower. You understand? So we've been so used to technology that even the smallest things, something does it for us. And so what happens is we need to go to the gym to build up our muscles, when in fact you can actually just do things on your own and build your muscle. We encourage that, especially in the elderly. If you notice, older people who are able to walk, to do things for themselves, they get sick less. So it's the muscle mass. And in nutrition medicine, we actually measure that. We use a bioimpedance analysis machine or a DEXA machine to measure how much is your percentage of muscle mass, not only weight. Because you could be skinny, but you could be really muscular. So those are functional parts of your body that are important for.
So are you saying the more muscular you are, the healthier you are? Is that a correlation?
The more
muscular
muscle mass,
okay,
the more the amount of muscle that you have. Because you can look fat because your muscles are not contoured, but underneath the flabby appearance, you could be muscular.
So, but if you're exterior, if you look muscular, does that mean that you're healthier?
Not necessarily also, but people with more muscle have less chance of people with more muscle, when they lose the weight, they maintain the muscle and they maintain the functionality, meaning they can stand up right after a critical illness, after the ICU, and they can recover faster. Yes, they recover faster.
But you don't need to look like a bodybuilder to
no. That's why, yes, you don't need like a six pack. Okay, that's not the goal. The goal is a percentage of muscle mass and also functionality, meaning you're big, but you can't even lift a pail of water. So you have to be functional.
What else should we think about, Doc, when it comes to trying to prevent us from getting the coronavirus, COVID-19, or the future viruses to come? What else should we remember about coronaviruses or any virus for that matter?
Well, it really all boils down to prevention. So all those things that the WHO and the CDC and the DOH are telling us to do, wear a mask, social distancing, wash your hands, it still holds true. And we just have to first prevent it from happening, prevent from getting infected. Hopefully by the time, in a few years, maybe the virus will mutate and maybe it will not be as infectious or as dangerous or virulent as before, that maybe we won't need any herd immunity. A lot of our viruses change every 2 years. Not all of us get it.
You know, Cebu City is already starting to open up. The country is already starting to open up. If you notice, international news companies are not covering the pandemic as much as they did like a week ago.
Yes.
They're already covering something else. The George Floyd police killing and all that stuff. It looks like we have partially forgotten, at least in some parts of the world, about this pandemic. If you see the people in the streets protesting, huge rallies with thousands of people, you know, I'm wondering what is going on. Is the virus slowly disappearing? Are we almost there? Are we beating it? Or are we having a false sense of security?
Actually, when you have a problem, you actually have 5 stages, and I think we're in the acceptance phase.
Okay.
So a lot of people are tired of the denial, the anger, the blaming, the bargaining. We're now in acceptance. So it's almost like, you know what, I'm tired, I'll accept it. So, but part of that phase should also still be defense. So we should still defend ourselves because it's not going away yet. So,
Well,
although
one of the reasons why, or one of actually the reason why we're all countries of the world are having a lockdown is to make sure that our hospitals don't get overwhelmed, right? And I think here in the
yes,
Philippines, in Cebu, we never got to that point of getting overwhelmed, right?
yes, I think Cebu started very well. We were cautious, and before, although we did have a lot of deaths in the beginning, we were able to control the influx of the sick people, or the infected people before we got to that point. So I think we did pretty well, and I think continually the Cebuanos are very cautious. We're still yes, we see a lot of people in the streets, but a lot of my friends, a lot of the people that I know, they're still staying home. They're, as much as they can, they are staying home. And only those who really need to go out are really going out, or those who don't believe. But for me, we're doing very well, I think.
So acceptance, we've already accepted that the disease is here to stay for a long, long time. In fact, they're calling this the new normal, right?
That's
So
right.
social distancing, like you said, masks, and wash your hands as often as you can, and all that stuff. And do you think this new normal will, is here to stay, or do you see an end to this? They're saying that the influenza pandemic back in the early 1900s, 1918, it magically disappeared after 10 years. That's a long time to wait, right?
That's not magic, 10 years.
They're also saying that once the vaccine comes, things will go back to normal. Do you see all of those factors coming into play before things getting go back to normal, Doc? Or do you have another scenario in mind in terms of how this will pan out in the next few years?
I don't think we will go back to normal ever. I think this is a crossroad, and I think at first it was difficult and painful. Everybody's plans were like really broken. Everybody had plans this year, and none of them turned out the way we planned.
Mhm.
So, but although it was a painful process, a lot of people adjusted. A lot of people have found new ways, better ways sometimes. And I think some people will stick to that, stick to staying home, working home, using technology more. And hopefully that will also help lessen the spread of the disease. Um, I think we can't really say that it was bad or evil, this virus. You just have to look at it in a different perspective. And I think it's like, I think the world has experienced far worse scenarios than what we are experiencing now. But it's really a big change, and it's painful, but I think it's not that bad. I
So
think we can adjust.
so you don't think that once we discover a vaccine that actually works, or the
Mm.
disease, the virus's life will, you mentioned earlier that it has a lifespan of so many years that, as Donald Trump would put it, will just magically disappear. You don't think things will go back to normal when those two things will probably happen in the near future? Do you think there's going to be another wave, another kind of coronavirus, or another virus that'll come? And if we let our guard down, it'll take us over again the way this pandemic has taken over our lives?
This is a personal opinion because this coronavirus has been less than 6 months in the making here in the Philippines, and there are really no studies to base my comments.
Okay.
But my personal opinion is I don't think it will go back to normal. It's not because there's a second wave or anything, but I think the fear and the new conditions have scarred us. And I don't believe the vaccine will be arriving anytime soon. So it's very difficult to make vaccines. And yes, they're very optimistic, and maybe they will have in the US or in Europe, but in the Philippines, not yet. I don't think so. We just had, imagine Deng Vaxha. Deng Vaxha, remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Deng Vaxha was 10 years in the making for that vaccine. It started in the Philippines, and in less than a year, there was a big, already a controversy. There's still fear. You can't just make a vaccine and then boom, it's ready. You have high-tech medications that took 30, 40 years to make, and then they take it out of the market after spending billions of dollars because of a little risk. It's not gonna happen. I don't think we're gonna make a vaccine in record time.
So we're gonna wear masks and wash our hands as often as we can, and social distance for a long, long time, maybe even forever.
I believe so. I believe so. I think it will be a new normal, and I think that's really well quoted there. New normal, because it's gonna be how it will be for a long time. Not because there is still COVID, but because there will always be something new now. There's that fear now. There's that fear of getting something. In the middle of the coronavirus pandemic, people were already posting, there's the avian flu again. There's another flu here. It didn't catch on, but that's how it's gonna be.
Wow. Why do you think people didn't listen to Bill Gates back in 2015? What were we so busy about that we could not think of something that'll hit the entire world? Why did Bill Gates' words fall on deaf ears? Why do you think? What happened?
Because everyone was happy with what they were doing. It wasn't there yet. So although the Spanish flu in the 1920s was a big blow to the human population, most of us were not alive at that time. Most of us were also not born during the smallpox pandemic. So we haven't experienced that. And right now, it's called a pandemic, although it still hasn't reached 1 million deaths. But that's hundreds of thousands of deaths with lockdown. Imagine if there was no lockdown. That would blow up to millions without the lockdown. But because we do have the lockdown, then it's just, we can call it few.
Do you think the Philippines, do we have, because they're saying that the third world countries will be the ones that will be affected greatly with this pandemic. Do you think the Philippines is ready for a second wave or another virus? And if not, can we equip our country with enough resources to be able to be ready for the next wave or the next version of this virus?
I'm very hopeful, and I really believe in the Philippines. I'm very nationalistic. I really love our country. I'm sorry, I just feel so proud of it.
Okay.
So I really think we can.
Okay.
I think amidst all these controversies and fighting and bickering and differences in opinion, I really believe we can. I have very high hopes with the Philippine people. Not a lot of foreigners understand us, but we fight, but we really protect ourselves as well. We take care of each other. I think Cebu has shown that. The private sector has really stepped up without needing being recognized. We've survived because we're helping each other, you know. And I think the government also has a big part in that. We can't just say that oh, they're corrupt and, you know, oh, they're not helping. They have maybe not as idealistic as you imagine, but they have. And I think we have reluctantly been united because of this pandemic, because we need each other. And I don't know, there's still that bayanihan spirit that I think is genetic. You can't remove that.
We're summer is over, and we're approaching the rainy season. What does that mean to the virus, Karen?
Well, our climate here in the Philippines, although we do have a wet and a dry season, even our wet season, our temperatures don't go below 20. We've never seen even how many days straight it's been raining. Usually it's always like, I think the lowest I've seen is 21 at night. So I think we're still in the area, in the zone that doesn't really spread doesn't spread the virus a lot. If you look at the map and the places where these viruses usually occur, there's a predisposition to cooler climates. And when I say cool, I mean like below 20, below 10 degrees Celsius. So I think we're still in a warm area, and it's not been shown to spread through floodwaters or stuff like that. It's too early, you know. So we'll see. We'll have to see how it goes.
Confined spaces like buildings? If the building is air conditioned, does that mean that the virus can live longer, or how does it work in confined spaces?
So it's not about the virus living longer. It's about the virus being pulled away and dispersed.
Okay.
So when you have an airflow, you have to check the direction of the flow, and you have to remove air or viral particles in the air regularly. So it's air-conditioned rooms kind of like keep the virus particles inside. It's not airborne, but because there are smaller droplets, they float more because there's no draft. There's no wind that carries it away. And that's why some of the hospitals, they have to make special rooms for patients with COVID that sucks out these the air inside these rooms every so often. So it's called an exchange, meaning how many times is there new air inside that room. So you remove it, you filter it, and you clean the room. So if you have an air-conditioned room, as long as you have an exhaust that pulls it away, and as long as you know what direction the air is going to when it's being pulled out, you know where to stay. You have to be not at just where it's pulled, or else you'll get all of the particles. So it's very techy. It's not about being airborne. It's really just, it's floating because it's small and there's no wind.
So you're saying that the onset of the rainy season is not going to significantly increase the incidence of coronavirus in the Philippines, because our temperatures don't change that much compared to other parts of the world, right?
I'm not saying it, I'm just expecting it. There's really no study, no evidence on that. But I'm really hoping, because the virus particles dies at 60 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
That's below boiling point.
Mm-hmm.
So when you stay out in the sun and you're just there without getting wet, you can achieve 60. When you have a surface, a metal surface, and you just stay there, the surface actually gets to that temperature. And so that's why I'm confident that the roads are okay, because it's very hot in our roads. But of course, the air temperature is only 30, 40, although it did reach 50 like this month, right? There were instances where it was so hot that it reached 50, although the temperature to kill the virus is 60 degrees Celsius. That's warm water, warm.
Will you ever fly in an airplane ever again, Kathy? Karen, sorry.
I don't know. I'm still hesitant right now.
You know, I love the fact that you're very passionate about what you do, and your mission, of course, like you said earlier, is that you'd like to make sure that not just Cebu but the entire Philippines is healthy. Is there anywhere that they can get in touch with you, maybe join you in whatever efforts that you're doing to make sure that that happens, that the Philippines becomes as healthy as you want it to be? Do you have like a website, a Facebook page, a hashtag that people can join you in your quest to make the Philippines healthy?
Actually, I made a Facebook page, Woolbright Nutrition.
Okay.
I'm still planning all the posts that I'm going to make, but for the meantime, I put that on hold because I'm working for the COVID right now to help with this. But when I'm going to finish this in a week, I'll try to focus more on that Woolbright Nutrition. And I have Instagram, I have Facebook. I'm really trying to infiltrate the society so that they understand that being healthy is not for me, it's for them. So I want the Philippines to be a place where people say, hey, I don't know what to eat. What's a good place to diet? And you know, the Philippines is the best place to go. You know how healthy those people are? That's what I want to hear.
Okay, so what is your message to all the Filipinos out there watching this interview right now? Doctor, go ahead.
Well, my message is I got inspired from being healthy because my grandmother always told me to eat my vegetables. Eat your vegetables. That's my message.
Thank you so much, Karen Woolbright, intern with a specialty in nutrition medicine. Thank you so much. It's been a very informative 2 days of interviews, and I hope I can talk to you again, especially in better times. Maybe we can do this one in a live studio one of these days, perhaps.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Karen, and I've learned so much from you today, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers will also learn from this interview from you. Thank you so much, Dr. Karen.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.